This one's for everyone, actually. This is not just for the gig delivery drivers I mentioned on this particular channel. This one's across the board. But what if I told you that your reputation means more than anything else in the world that you own? Your reputation includes things, obviously, like, your driving record, your credit. Those all fall under the same bucket. But your also personal image and reputation mean everything. And the reason why I put this on this channel right now is because obviously if you're a gig driver and you're delivering with no guaranteed income, being underpaid tremendously, no guarantees from the companies at all, this may be a temptation. This coming thing I'm about to mention may be a temptation for you. And it's multi-level marketing. And I was pitched this and went to one of those Zoom calls this morning. Now the offer in itself wasn't bad. The product had a decent pretense to it. I did independent research on my own, with good old Professor Google. It wasn't bad. The income promises might have been a bit on the high side, but they were very honest with me and said, hey, look, the formula is very simple, but the work is not. I can appreciate that, but the reason why I didn't sign up for this right away, or I don't think I'm going to sign up for it at all, is because of the image that these things particularly carry. With multi-level marketing, of course, you're always trying to recruit your friends and circle to join you in this business venture, if you will, and you're always going to be that guy or that person. You do not want to be that guy or that person because they're always thinking that you've got some sort of ulterior motive, which is an image that you just don't want to have. A professional female bowler that I know reasonably well also had a pitch approach to her recently. And that's for a product line called Trophy Daughter. Now this is a young lady, I'm not going to lie, not exactly unattractive either, but she didn't want her image attached to that either. And of course I applauded her for rejecting that out of hand. Now professional bowlers don't make a ton of money. They're always looking for an extra buck or two, but she correctly diagnosed the situation as not being worth her reputation to throw it away for a few $100s worth of, I think it was cash, or maybe it was even product, I'm not sure. But some things are just not worth throwing away your image over. There was a TV ad campaign back in the early 90s featuring tennis superstar Andre Agassi. The product was for Canon, which is a camera brand. And the tagline for the campaign was, "Image is everything." Now, of course, this being an advertisement for a camera brand, this obviously meant that he was pitching the camera's picture-taking capabilities. But there was an underlying meaning to this, and I believe he mentioned this later on, that your image is everything. And how you're viewed by others is worth more than any currency. I believe this to still be true today, even though this ad was in the early 90s. Go look up Andre Agassi Canon cameras, you'll see the ad. But you just do not want to do things. And the reason why I didn't do this multi-level marketing campaign is because, not because it was a bad product or necessarily a bad thing, but just the image that these things come with. You're going to be seen as that guy, and I don't want to be seen as that guy. I'm writing 2 books right now. I want to be able to sell a few. And I'm obviously not thinking I'm going to become a New York Times bestseller. I would be extremely blessed if that did happen, given my present status as an unemployed individual. Speaking of which, if you're in a situation like that, in addition to gig workers, these things can also be temptations because they can promise things that they cannot deliver. I believe in this particular instance that is kind of what was going on, but you want to research everything. Again, I am a cult survivor of one of the more infamous cults of the 1990s and 2000s. You need to research everything, question everything, especially if it's promising to solve all your problems. This also applies to anybody who is looking at paying a sovereign citizen guru who is trying to sell you illegal knowledge that will solve all your legal problems. Newsflash, it doesn't. And your image will also take a very big hit, because if you wind up in a police video and Van Balian gets a hold of it, or Team Skeptic gets a hold of it, or Sergeant Curtis gets a hold of it, you're going to be blasted all over the internet, falling for this particular nonsense, making these false, illegal, fictional arguments. You will be found out. And you will find that, if your criminal record gets tossed in this and becomes well known, and you have a record, a felony record even, for making these arguments because you bought into a legal fiction, your reputation and image legally are destroyed. Good luck getting a job is all I got to say if you go down that rabbit hole. But anyway, I was pitched today with a multi-level marketing pitch. I did the Zoom call, and somebody determined that my image is not worth the risk. Do I think it was a particularly bad product? There was a product. You can't call it a pyramid scheme. But I will just leave it at that for now. And I will be talking to you guys again next time around. So I kind of put everything into a blender for this episode. Sovereign Citizen script, multi-level marketing, your image, and the temptations for gig economy drivers. I will leave it at that. The tag list is going to be huge for this one. Hopefully I get some views. I will talk to you guys on the next go around. Peace out, homies.